everyone, welcome to my channel all about biology, and this is Jyoti Verma. Today we are going to discuss about the Lac-Operon model. So the Lac-Operon model was firstly proposed by Jacob and Monod in 1961. They were working on E. coli, which is a bacteria, and they were basically working on the phenomena of regulation of gene expression within the prokaryotes, that how the expression of gene within the E. coli is controlled. They were working on that. Now coming to the point, operon. Operon has been basically taken from the word opera, which is a kind of music show in which different people play different parts. Some of them play music, some of them perform dance, and some of them perform backstage work. So it is a kind of collaborative effort by different people in order to make the show successful. In the same way, operon consists of a set of genes controlled by a single promoter. So what is operon? Operon in the case of Lac-Operon basically includes the structural genes, the promoter and the operator. Okay. And in the Lac-Operon, what is this Lac? This Lac means lactose. So Lac-Operon here in the sense means that this system is working for the expression of some enzymes that are used in lactose catabolism. Okay, so lactose is a kind of sugar that gets broken down here to be used as a source of energy by the E. coli. So we are going to discuss about the Lac-Operon system in detail. So this is the overall diagram of the Lac-Operon system, that what are the elements within this Lac-Operon system. So this Lac-Operon system consists of some structural genes which are termed as Lac-Z, Lac-Y and Lac-A. Then these structural genes consist of a common promoter. Okay. However, there are some other genes within this system which are called as the regulatory genes, and the regulatory genes have their own promoter. So what is the difference between the structural and the regulatory genes? Firstly, we have to discuss about that. So regulatory genes are the genes the product of which control the expression of other genes. As we will describe it in detail, that how the Lac repressor, which is the product of a regulatory gene, is controlling the transcription of these structural genes. So regulatory genes are the genes the product of which control the expression of other genes. Okay. However, structural genes are the genes the product of which may perform enzymatic or structural function. Okay. Now in this case you will be able to see these red areas. These are the operator sites. So in the case of Lac-Operon, there are two operator sites. This one is the primary operator site, and these two are the secondary or pseudo operator sites. So what is this operator? This operator is the place where the repressor protein can bind and it can stop the process of transcription of these structural genes. Now these 2 points are the promoters. These are the promoters. This one is the promoter of the regulatory gene, and this one is the promoter of the structural gene. And promoter is basically the site where the RNA polymerase can bind and it can start the process of transcription. And what is the process of transcription? The process of formation of RNA, basically the mRNA from the DNA, is called as the transcription. So when RNA polymerase binds to the promoter region, it starts the process of transcription that leads to the formation of a mRNA. Okay. Now this regulatory gene is continuously expressing within the E. coli, and in this case it undergoes firstly transcription. Transcription is the process of formation of mRNA from the DNA. Later on, this mRNA undergoes the process of translation, in which the mRNA undergoes a conversion into protein. So when there is formation of a protein from the mRNA, it is called as translation. So in the same way, the structural genes undergo transcription and translation, but these genes, the structural genes, the LAC-Z, LAC-Y and LAC-A will form a common mRNA which is called as the polycistronic mRNA. So the transcription of these structural genes will lead to the formation of a common mRNA which is called as the polycistronic mRNA. Polycistronic mRNA is that mRNA that codes for more than one proteins, as in this case this mRNA after undergoing translation will form 3 different enzymes. Okay. So when the LAC-Z undergoes this process of translation, it will form beta galactosidase. From the LAC-Y there is formation of permease, and from the LAC-A there is formation of trans-acetylase. Now the lac operon is basically used within the E. coli for lactose catabolism. So when the E. coli is growing in a medium containing lactose, it will produce certain enzymes that will break down that lactose and use it as a source of energy for the growth of E. coli. So these are the enzymes that are used here within the lactose catabolism. So when there is presence of lactose within the medium, what is happening here? These genes undergoing transcription and translation in the presence of lactose, and the beta galactosidase here is used for the hydrolysis of lactose into glucose and galactose, which will ultimately used as a source of energy for the growth of E. coli bacteria. Okay, now the permease. Permease is basically an active uptake transporter, and it helps in uptaking the lactose from the medium by the E. coli. So it helps in taking up the lactose from the medium. Now coming to the trans-acetylase. So trans-acetylase is basically used at that point when the E. coli takes up some thiogalactosides. The thiogalactosides are very toxic for the E. coli bacteria that can cause death of the E. coli. So in that case, your trans-acetylase will come into function and it will add an acetyl group to the thiogalactoside, making it inactive. Okay, so there will be no effect of the thiogalactoside on the E. coli when this trans-acetylase is in active form. Okay, so the expression of these structural genes and the formation of these products is regulated or controlled by the product of this regulatory gene, that is your LAC repressor. So what is happening in the case when the E. coli is growing in a medium containing lactose, then some of the lactose are converted into allolactose. Okay, some of the lactose are converted into allolactose because some of the beta galactosidase is still present within the E. coli cell in very less amount. So this lactose gets converted into allolactose when lactose is present in the medium. Okay, then that allolactose acts as an inducer. And what is the function of this inducer? This allolactose will bind to the repressor, and ultimately it will change the structure of this repressor, due to which this repressor is unable to bind to this operator site. Okay, this repressor cannot bind to this operator site as the allolactose has created a conformational change within its structure. Now what is happening in this case, the repressor is unable to bind to the operator site, so now the RNA polymerase can bind to this promoter site and it can start the process of transcription of these genes, so that these three can be formed and they can utilize lactose as a source of energy. So in this case the allolactose acts as an inducer, and that's why the lac operon system is called as an inducible system. Inducible system because the inducer, that is your allolactose, is blocking the repressor and ultimately leading to the process of transcription of these structural genes. That's why the lac operon is an inducible system. Okay, we will discuss about the details of it. Now your second case is that when lactose is absent in the medium, then what will happen in that case? So when lactose is absent, then in that case there will be no allolactose and your repressor is free. Repressor is continuously forming, the LAC-I gene is continuously expressing in both the cases. So this repressor will ultimately go and bind to the operator site, forming a loop-like structure, due to which the RNA polymerase cannot bind to this promoter site and ultimately the transcription of these genes cannot take place at all. So in the presence of this repressor, when this repressor is present in active form, this repressor binds to the operator site and ultimately the transcription of these genes cannot take place. So this phenomena is called as a negative regulation. When a repressor is blocking the transcription of these genes, then this kind of regulation is called as a negative regulation. So lac operon is a inducible system that involves negative regulation. Okay, now we will discuss about both of the cases, that when lactose is present what will happen and when lactose is absent what will happen. In these cases we will discuss about it in detail. We are going into the details of this lac operon system, that how in the presence of lactose the operon is working and how in the absence of lactose this operon is working. We are going to discuss about that. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the case 1, that is when lactose is present in the medium. So when the E. coli is growing in a medium containing lactose, then what will be the effect of lactose on the lac operon? We are going to discuss about that. So when lactose is present in the medium, the LAC-I gene is continuously undergoing transcription and translation, leading to the formation of this LAC repressor. Now for the structural genes to undergo transcription and translation, there is a need that this repressor needs to be inactivated, because this repressor, if this repressor is in active state, then it will bound to that operator promoter region and it will ultimately stop that transcription of that structural genes. So if the lactose is present, then in that case what is happening here, the lactose is getting to be broken down into glucose and galactose. However, during this breaking, sometimes the lactose gets converted into allolactose. Okay, allolactose. So when this lactose gets converted into allolactose, then in that case what happens, this allolactose acts as an inducer and it will bind to the repressor protein. Once the allolactose binds to the repressor protein, there is a structural conformational change within the repressor protein, due to which this repressor protein becomes inactive and it cannot bind to the operator region of this area, as a result of which the RNA polymerase binds to this promoter region and the transcription of these structural genes will go on, and ultimately they will lead to the formation of beta galactosidase, permease and trans-acetylase. So this process will move on, however the repressor is unable to bind in that portion. Okay, so in this way, when lactose is present, things are happening like that. In this case, the allolactose is called as an inducer because it is inducing the transcription and translation of the structural genes. It is making the repressor protein inactive so that the transcription and translation of these structural genes can go on in that case. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the second case, that is your when lactose is absent in the medium. So when E. coli is growing in a medium in which lactose is absent, then what will happen, we are going to discuss about that. And as I have told you that this LAC-I gene is continuously expressing, it means that it will continuously undergo transcription and translation and it will form LAC repressor continuously. So when lactose is absent, this LAC-I gene is undergoing transcription and translation normally and it is forming its LAC repressor. Now in this case, when there is no lactose in the medium, so there will be no allolactose, there will be no inducer which can stop this repressor. So ultimately what will happen, that repressor will go and it will bind to the operator site. And in this case, in the case of lac operon, there are three operator sites. This is your operator 1 site, this is your operator 2 and this is your operator 3. The operator 1 site is close to the promoter site. The promoter site is the site where the RNA polymerase has to bind for the transcription process. And as you can see in this diagram, both the sites are overlapping to each other. So either RNA polymerase can bind to this or either repressor protein can bind to this site. So when the lactose is absent, these genes are continuously expressing, the LAC repressor is continuously forming, the repressor protein moves and it will bind to 2 or more operator sites for forming a kind of repression loop, due to which the promoter region also comes under this loop, and as a result of which RNA polymerase is unable to bind on that position, due to which the transcription of these genes cannot take place. And as transcription is not taking place, so translation will not take place. So there will be no formation of these beta galactosidase, permease and trans-acetylase. These will not form at all, because these genes are not needed. When lactose is not there, then these genes are not needed, so the expression of these genes needs to be switched off. Then so in this case, the repressor comes into existence and it will bind to the operator site and ultimately it is going to switch off these genes. So that is your case 2, that how the operon will work in the absence of lactose. Now in our next video, we will discuss about the effect of glucose as well as lactose on the lac operon. Okay, so thank you so much. If you like the video, just subscribe to my channel for further updates. Thanks a lot.